Draft season is here, baby. Multiple mock drafts today. Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network comes out with a mock draft. Same for Mel Kiper of ESPN. And both analysts have the Jets taking two different players. Plus, free agency still happening for the Jets. Rondale Moore visited the Jets facilities in Florham Park, New Jersey. We'll break all of that down and much more coming up here on a Tuesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk with our guy Gunny Gumby of New York Jets Situation Report here in his weekly spot.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer, and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
What is going on, everyone? Hello, and welcome back right here to NY Flight Jets Talk. I appreciate you all tuning in here on this Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. Make sure you smash that like button and you are subscribed to the channel. It's the free way to help us grow, and well, it really does help us grow significantly. If you guys want to get into our membership raffle, you could do so by, that's the paid way overall to contribute to the show, and we'll throw the ticker on down below with the leaderboard and our raffle prizes. This month's prizes we're giving away include a Wayne Corbett signed jersey, Darrelle Revis photo, Altoon signed photo, Keyshawn Johnson signed photo, Jericho Cotchery signed photo, a free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji. The leaderboard is on the ticker down below. You can get in by gifting a membership every $2.99 super chat. Those two things will get you a ticket into our membership raffle. Joining me right now, fellow New York Jets content creator here in his weekly spot, Gunny Gumby of New York Jets Situation Report, gracing us with his presence. Gunny, what's going on, bro?
What's good, Connor? What's good, Connor? Man, as I always say, brother, I'm living the dream, bro. Living the dream, man. Glad to be here and chopping it up with you. And, of course, talking Jets football, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm super happy you are able to be here. I know we had to. I know you were down in Jersey, just a couple states over from me here in New York last week. But I'm super happy we were able to have you back on the show. And I'm going to start with some of the free agency news. Obviously, we know draft season's here, the multiple mock drafts coming out today. But I want to start with a free agent I've been talking about recently as a potential cheap option for the Jets. That's 24-year-old Rondale Moore. He started his career. He was a rookie with the Cardinals in 2021. Had a really, really solid rookie season, and then he was traded to the Falcons last offseason. However, he suffered a knee injury training camp, out for the season. So we didn't see what he had in the tank in 2024 after a solid first few years with the Cardinals. This is someone who Spot Track estimates his contract value to be about 1 year, $1.1 million, a 24-year-old gadget type player who can run jet sweeps with. Sounds a little bit like Malachi Corley, but for a team that's lacking a lot of wide receiver depth, you're telling me you could get a guy like Rondale Moore who has some upside in the building for $1.1 million. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think Rondale Moore makes a lot of sense. This is a guy who I think if you bring him into the building, though, you're effectively saying that maybe the Chris Olave trade option kind of goes out the window. He'd be your speed guy, man. He'd be the speed guy. You kind of bring him in there to go ahead and kind of like stretch the field a little bit. Again, on the smaller side, but you said it kind of beautifully in terms of being more of a gadget guy. I'm not mistaken, man. He was a round two. Round two. It was round two.
Round two. It was a round two. Yeah, second round pick in 2021
for Arizona. And I liked him in that draft class too, man, in 2021. So again, getting him into the building right now is a positive thing. You're looking at potentially bringing him in, hopefully on a cheaper contract. One of the things I enjoy about these guys coming in, man, that wind up signing a contract with the Jets is that they all seem to want to be here. I think that kind of speaks volumes to the coaching staff in terms of Aaron Glenn and that respect he has across the league. Because you're looking at this team right now, man, and you would think a lot of these guys that we've been able to bring into the building and they're coming in to talk to us, that they really would be kind of using us for leverage for better opportunities. But it just kind of goes to show the respect level that a guy like Aaron Glenn has gotten the building. I think we've actually paid or overpaid for our own guy in terms of Sherwood, in terms of free agency thus far, whereas we haven't really been taxed that much in terms of free agents. So I'm in, man, on Rondale Moore. I think that you bring him in, again, speed guy, can stretch the field, can go, like you said before, man, those gadget plays. I do believe bringing him in, though, would definitively take us out of the Chris Olave sweepstakes in terms of what that's going to look like. But I'm okay with it. Probably more of a cheaper option as well. Getting him in the building today was the first start. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, we see a team-friendly contract appear sometime soon.
This is what I'm going to say, Gunny, regarding the Chris Olave trade sweepstakes. I don't think he's going to be traded. I just think that's something that came out since the Jets. Well, they have Justin Fields, they have um, Garrett Wilson. They just signed the center Josh Myers, who was field center in college. We're building the Ohio State Jets, the New York Buckeyes, something like that. And if you sign Rondale Moore too, I don't know if the Jets are already in those trade talks. I don't think that will end discussions immediately because Rondale Moore, Gunny, who's someone, yes, who showed flashes throughout his career, just over 1,000 yards throughout his career, starting in 2021. So he's done some solid things. We just didn't see what he looked like last year. Suffered a gruesome knee injury in training camp. We don't know what he's going to look like. He's not that true wide receiver, too, that the Jets are still hunting for. Someone who I think could be a true wide receiver, too, in this year's draft class. Someone I know you're also super, super high on
Ooh,
is
yeah.
Ted McMillan. And
Yep.
there were a lot of skeptics out there. Oh, he's not going to run. If he ran a 40, he would clock in at 4.7. Ran a sub
Wrong.
450 40-yard dash at his pro day yesterday. And what are all the haters going to say now about Ted Gunny? At first, I was thinking, why would he run? And even if he doesn't run, that doesn't change my stance on him. But now the fact that he ran a sub 4.5, that makes me even higher on Ted McMillan, which is hard to do because I already have him as I think he's my 4th or 5th ranked player in this year's draft.
Yeah, I love Ted, man. I really do. I think it was a 4.48, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was like a 4.48, something like that. And I think that
His two
actually
tries were
bumped him up.
4.46 and 4.48.
There it is. Okay, boom. So that actually, I think, bumped him up on a lot of people's boards, right? Because that was the biggest concern with him. Can he go ahead and bring that NFL caliber speed to the table? A bigger bodied guy who's really good at contested catches. Again, you've seen on tape where he's been able to go ahead and get yak. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easy for him. But you look at him in the big body wise, and people seem to say he looks slower running on tape. And they're right. When you look at him run, you're like, man, he doesn't really look like he's moving that fast. But it speaks to the fact that maybe he's more one of those smooth striders that it doesn't need to look that fast, but he's actually gaining separation. That 40-yard dash, I think, like cemented the fact that he's going to be a top 10 pick. I think he's by far the best wide receiver in this draft. I would love to have him at number 7. I know we're seeing a lot of mock drafts coming out right now. We're going to talk about that obviously later on.
Yep.
But Tet, for me, is what makes the most sense. At number 7, you put him on the other side of Garrett Wilson. You know, you give Justin Fields the weapons, the opportunity to potentially figure out whether or not he's going to be the guy. And if he's not, cool. You've got 2 stud wide receivers now going into next season when you're going to potentially get your franchise guy next year's draft. So I'm high on Tet. I'm with you, man. I don't think you could have really sold me off of him if he ran like a 4.6 or whatever they were claiming he was going to run. But a 4.48, 4.46, listen. I think he shut up all the haters. He shut up all the doubters. Everything else on tape shows you he's a football player, a wide receiver at the NFL level. And now he's showing you he has NFL caliber speed as well for a big guy. So I'm 100% on board with Ted if he's the guy at number 7. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, the Jets brass kind of fit the same way that we do.
Couldn't agree with you anymore, Gunny. Now I'm going to start with one of the 2 mock drafts that came out today. Mel Kiper of ESPN released one of his mocks. Tyler Warren of the Jets at pick 7. That was his pick. And a lot of people, he seems to be the favorite, really, in the clubhouse right now from what we've heard, Tyler Warren of the Jets. And I'm going to be honest, I don't hate it at all. Tyler Warren is someone who's 6'6", 260 pounds, yak machine, a Swiss Army knife. He's a really, really solid inline blocker. He could be your pass catcher 2, pass catcher 3 type guy. I am super, super high on a guy like Tyler Warren, and I would not hate that pick at 7 by any means.
1,000%. Listen, when the offseason first kicked off, actually, I looked at a lot of some of those guys who might be around for us at pick number 7, and Tyler Warren kept popping off the screen to me. Again, man, the guy is 6'6", man. He's a former quarterback turned tight end, so he's got the football IQ. He understands how to go ahead and operate in zone. He's athletic enough to go ahead and run routes. He's got the ability to go ahead and snatch the ball out of the air, and he's a willing blocker, man. Like he literally hits a lot of wickets in terms of what you want from your tight end. I love the kid, man. And for me, Tyler Warren is my number 2 guy. Again, Ted has gotten up on my board in terms of the guy that I would love to have in terms of having that 1-2 punch with him and Garrett Wilson. But if we're being honest with ourselves, Garrett Wilson and friggin' Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a lethal combo, Gunny. You pair Tyler Warren, someone who could be that Swiss Army knife for you. Not even just that, but the fact you could have Garrett Wilson as your top wide receiver, obviously, and then Tyler Warren, I think, could be such a big help to Justin Fields, blocking for
Facts.
him on those read options. Like we might even be able to see Justin Fields. We might even be able to see Justin Fields run as we might even be able to see Justin Fields run the read option where Tyler Warren is lined up as a fullback. Maybe the Jets could even line up Tyler Warren as a fullback because we've seen him in Wildcat. We've seen him as a full. We've seen him everywhere on the goddamn field. So he could line up anywhere, and I think he could be a huge help for Fields, not only as a pass catcher, but also as an inline blocker.
Again, you said it beautifully, right, in terms of his versatility. And I think that stems from him being a quarterback first before going to become a tight end. This guy had to go ahead and see the field on offense. He had to see it. He had to understand the blocking assignments for the line, had to understand the route concepts for the wide receivers, for his tight end, what the running back's going to do. He's got that football IQ and experience that he's not been able to take to this position. And I think he helps, like you said, a Justin Fields or a rookie quarterback next year in terms of trying to see the field a little clearer. Having him in that freaking huddle, being able to express or break down what he's seeing on his side, I think that goes a long way. Now, again, I get it. He didn't play quarterback, you know what I'm saying, at the collegiate level. I understand that. But he has that experience, and that is invaluable. Not to mention he's blessed physically, and he's a winning blocker. He can run routes. He can catch the ball. I love what Tyler Warren can bring to this offense. And I know a lot of people are saying at number 7, that's just way too high. But this is a guy that I think at the next level is going to succeed, and he's going to contribute early. If it's Tyler Warren, I'm excited. If it's Tet, I'm excited. I really want to go the offensive route in terms of adding a pick at that number 7 spot. But I think a guy like Tyler Warren, man, I'm not going to do the whole generational thing, but this is a guy that I think brings it on both sides in terms of being an effective blocker, a winning blocker, a high IQ guy that can also receive the ball. So I think you can't go wrong with Tyler. When I saw that mock draft, I was just like, I feel that. I'm with it.
The next mock draft I want to get into today, Gunny, from Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network. He has the Jets selecting Armand Membu. Now, that's a popular name, someone who's skyrocketed up boards since the NFL Combine. I'm taking Tyler Warren. I'm taking Ted McMillan. Those guys over Armand Membu any day of the week. Not to say that Armand Membu is not a great right tackle. The positional value, though. I think this tackle class is super, super strong where you can get a guy in day 2, day 3 who can come in and compete for the starting job. I don't want to take a starting right tackle with the 7th overall pick when you have a ton of weapons on the board.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like when I saw that one, I was just like, ugh. I understand the thought process, right, of securing that right tackle spot and having your tackle position secure for the next, 5 to 10 years between him and Olu Fashanu. But with that number 7 pick, man, with I think a bit of a premium on that wide receiver position, on that tight end position, like go with the premium pick. The offensive tackle spot, especially at the right tackle position, I think there's going to be opportunities in terms of finding somebody who's suitable to play that slot for us this coming year. It doesn't make sense to me that we would go that route with that number 7 overall pick when we are lacking in weapons right now. And we've talked about this before, man. After Garrett Wilson, it's just a bunch of question marks in that wide receiver room. You just lost Tyler Conklin. We don't know if Rucker can actually play tight end at the NFL level. Too many questions on that side of the ball. For me, you get a weapon, you know what I'm saying? Again, premium pick. You have control for 5 years. Before you get to the franchise tags, you can wind up saving yourself a premium if you hit with a guy like Tet or if you hit with a guy like Tyler Warren. Offensive tackle, I get it for that right tackle spot. There's value there. I understand that, but no, I'm not using that 7th overall pick on a right tackle. That to me is a reach, and it's kind of a waste of an asset if you're asking me.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like button and make sure you are subscribed to the channel completely free. Helps us grow significantly. Super chats, memberships get you into our membership raffle. Our guy, Jeffrey R., comes in with 20 gifted memberships. Jeffrey, you're the man. I can't thank you enough for all your support.
Here's what I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Can't wait.
We're playing all of them for our guy, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, 20 gifted memberships. You're the man. I can't thank you enough for all your support here on the show. And that unlocks your moon emoji, which I know we're talking in the chat. That will be updated for tomorrow's show. James Rouse, Astral Off the Chain, Mike DB, OG Jets fan, 1985, Ferris Grimm, V6RM, Jason Radcliffe, Austin Berry, Aston Langley, Ocho Nueve, NYJ Dave, Adrian Ralston, Green Truth Dave, TriStar Jet, MA Football Guy, J Quest, Jaro, Mike Rubino, Wild Wave, J3 Siblings. You are all channel members. Thanks to our guy, Jeffrey R. Can't thank you enough for all your support. You're on the show, Jeffrey. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. You can call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. We'll start things off here with Yo Holmes. Comes in, says T-Mac at 7, LL in the second with Cameron Williams, Mason Taylor, or Gunnar Helm in the third. Gunny, how do you feel about this draft plan?
I can get behind that. I like Cameron Williams. I mean, when we're picking at in the second, will he be there? Maybe. I think he's taking a bit of a risk. I mean, Mason Taylor or Gunnar Helm. I don't think Mason Taylor. I don't think Mason Taylor makes it to round 3. I think he's gone by the. I think he's gone by the end of round 2. That's just my perspective on it. But if that plays out in that fashion, there's nothing to. I love it. I love it. If this is the way it pans out for us, I think that's a home run draft with the first 3 picks. And you can go ahead and take some risks. You know what I'm saying? Moving forward with some guys who could have a high ceiling, low. You know what I'm saying? Kind of reaches. But that will be an incredible way to kick off the draft. But again, I don't see Mason Taylor making it to round 3.
Gunnar Helm is someone I really like, Gunny, but after this ankle injury, he's starting to lower down on some draft boards, which is something I really like because I don't think this is going to be something long-term, and I think Gunnar Helm is a really, really solid pass-catching tight end. Helm in the third. In the second, I don't want to go tackle. I'm going to be honest. I don't want to, unless it's Ariante Ursary. Or if Gray Zabel somehow falls. Those are the only guys I'd be open to at 42. Ozzy Trapillo, Gunny, is my guy in the third round with that 73rd overall pick, who I want the Jets to take, and I think he is shot to be the right tackle of the future. How do you feel about Trapillo?
Okay, I mean Trapillo. I mean, I like the size, right? I like the athleticism. Do you think he makes it to the third though? I don't know. You think so?
Top of the third, especially, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the Jets are at the top of the third, Gunny. We have to keep that in mind because they're at they're at 73 right now. Top of the third at 67. So, like
Boston College too is another thing. I mean, well, he's that big kid, right? He's like 6'7", 6'8". Yeah, he's a big
6'7",
dude.
321. I think that's what he is. Yeah.
I mean, if he's there, right?
6'8", excuse me.
6'8", so he's a big bodied guy, man.
6'8", 309. Yeah, something crazy. Yeah.
Great pass protector. As we're being honest, great pass protector. He definitely has his way in terms of kind of like shedding off rushers. I'm not mad at it, man. I think you take the shot. How do you feel about? Wasn't there a issue with his arm length? If I'm not mistaken.
That was one of the concerns, yeah. But I mean, he's he's such a fluid athlete. Super great in especially pass protection. Mauler in the run game for you can set an edge. I really like him.
So he was the one. If I remember doing my research on this kid, he was the one that would be a best fit in the passing, but struggles in run blocking, right?
Yep.
Is it Boston College?
Boston College, yes.
Boston College. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, if he's there in the third, again, pass blocker, you're looking at your quarterback right now in Justin Fields. And I think, is he going to take the next step, you know what I'm saying, in terms of passing? I do believe there's going to be a lot of RPOs. I do believe there's going to be a lot of run plays designed for Justin Fields this season, which, again, Ozzy tends to struggle a little bit in terms of the run blocking. But if you're talking about getting a passer or a guy who's going to sit back there and freaking tear apart defenses, I think he'd be a stud. You know what I'm saying? Again, 6'8". I think he's a big dude, man. 6'8", 320 plus pounds. You put him out there and he protects the freaking the right side. Again, not opposed to it. I'm surprised you think he'll be. I mean, I feel like he'd be going a little higher than the third round though. But maybe that's just me putting too much value in terms of offensive linemen.
Keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. Calling to the show. Pit and comment at the top of the chat. Our guy June, the GM, Gunny, comes in and he wants to know, how do you feel about our free agency class thus far? Haven't overpaid for anyone, taking flyers on younger guys. Don't hate it at all. Yeah,
in fact, my podcast tonight is focusing on the AFC East in terms of what the free agency has looked like. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I think the Jets, with what we were coming into this offseason with a lot missing some key, or losing some key components, and we got like DJ Reed and Mosley being gone. I think you look at what they've done thus far, and they've made it to where they have options now, right? When you come to the draft. Before we came to this draft and we're like, oh my God, like we need this, that, and the other. What are they going to do? How are they going to do it? But I feel like the way they've kind of tackled free agency, you got a lot of young guys with upside, right? And you didn't spend all the money. You didn't blow the bank trying to get people in here. We didn't have to overpay, which was something that surprised me, that we didn't have to overpay to go ahead and bring in some talent. I'm a huge fan of Cisco. I love that signing.
Okay.
Jamie and Sherwood, I do believe that we might have overpaid for that, but I appreciate the fact that you bring him back because of the fact that, well, CJ Mosley is obviously no longer here. But predominantly you're looking at showing to the rest of the guys, hey, if you come in here and you bust your ass, you're going to go ahead and get paid, right? So I think when you look at the losses, man, we lost Aaron Rodgers, Adams, freaking Moses, Reed. They did a good job in bringing a guy like Chris Boyd as well as a guy like freaking Brandon Stevens to kind of like, we're going to do this by committee. We're not going to replace DJ Reed's production, right?
The thing with Boyd is it's like calling Justin Hardy a cornerback when it comes to Boyd.
This is also a good point.
So he only plays back. I had a Cole Thompson, Texans reporter, who's also a draft analyst. He comes on with me every Saturday, excuse me. And he flat out told me, like, you can't expect anything from Chris Boyd. And I drew the comparisons, like, boom, like calling Justin Hardy a cornerback. So I think losing Eccles was another one that is super, super
that
tough.
Sucked.
You let him walk to the Steelers for a cheap amount of money. I think the Jets could have easily paid him. But like you look at Moses, for example, someone I really like. I wanted him back, but I'm not freaking giving Morgan Moses 3 years, $21 million worth up to
Patriots
28 and a half.
Man.
Yeah, someone who's 34 years old, who's riddled with injuries. You're giving him a 3-year deal. But they need to overpay because, well, first they had so much cap room. I think they had $135 million entering free agency.
Led the NFL in cap space.
Yep. Plus, they have so many holes. That's the thing with the Patriots in the draft. They could go anywhere. They could pick Armand Membu, or they could take Malachi Starks. They just have so many holes on that roster. Still, although they brought in some great free agents. Franklin comes in regarding Tet's 40 and says there are some discrepancies. Some say 4.5s. The lowest I saw, Gunny, was a 4.54. The highest I saw was a 4.46. If he ran a 4.54, great.
I'm still happy about it.
Exactly.
As in the 4.5s, you're happy about it. The thing was this: the fear factor was he was going to run high 4.6s, 4.7s even, and that's gross, right?
Yeah,
you can't do that. That's gross if you're a wide receiver at the NFL level. For me, I have learned over the years to stop looking at them playing around in freaking shorts and stuff, and I think about what they've done on tape. But nevertheless, you're still kind of concerned about that kind of speed at the NFL level. Like, man, is that going to impact him? But 4.5s for his size, that's okay. You're good with that.
Yeah,
you're good with that. But the 4.46 that I've heard, the 4.48 was that was the average that I got between his two times. Yeah, that you're happy about. You're really happy about that.
Yeah, for sure. Again, big-bodied receiver, big catch radius. He's not gonna beat you with his speed. That's not his. That's not his main tool for.
Mike Evans doesn't beat you with his speed. Mike Evans beats you with his body control and the fact that he has a large catching radius. That's the kind of stuff you're going to expect from Ted.
1,000%. June comes back in here. He says the depth of this wide receiver class makes you question if we need a tight end in the first round. Even though I love Warren, who else are you taking in the first round? That's the thing. Like who else are you taking, Gunny?
No, 100%. You're right. You're right. The wide receiver class it's not deep. It's not a deep class where you can look at somebody and think to yourself, heck yeah, this is going to be an impact guy. But if Ted's not there, I also don't know if there's another wide receiver that I'm comfortable grabbing in the top 10 other than Ted. And at that point, you got to look at the value aspect, and Tyler Warren gives you that best of both worlds in terms of receiver, blocker, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he could be a quarterback's best friend. I think it's a no-brainer for me if Tyler Warren is there. And if they go with Ted, I'm not mad at that either. But for me, Tyler Warren is probably going to be the guy that I can go ahead and give you a combination of both, right? He can help you on the offensive line. And he can also be your quarterback's best friend and catch balls for him. But I think Ted's going to be the guy that can be a day one impact guy in terms of what he brings to the table and how well he complements Garrett Wilson. But you're not wrong, June. Like, it's not like, you know what I'm saying, the depth at wide receiver is like, oh man, if we don't get Ted, like we're fine. We'll find another stud. I think after Ted, you're starting to go ahead and start looking at like in terms of guys who can literally complement what Garrett Wilson does. You're starting to go ahead and see a bit of a gap. But no, you're right. Tight end class though is definitely pretty deep. I ain't gonna lie to you. There's a lot of options there. which is why I'd be okay with going Tet and then going another tight end route, you know what I'm saying, later on. But again, if Tet's gone, or even if they just chose Tyler Warren, go with the best tight end in this class, it's hard to be mad at that because you're adding a weapon to this freaking arsenal.
For sure. Jeffrey R. Well, we have 2 more questions here before we take a call, Gunny, and we let you go. Jeffrey R. comes in and says, I've heard some Brandon Cooks rumors. If you want someone who's going to provide depth, someone who is well into his 30s, who doesn't have much left in the tank, who you can get for cheap, okay. You can't rely on him for much, though.
Yeah, I'm with Connor on this one, man. I just think at this point he's at that stage in his career. This was a guy who was predominantly who he is based off of speed. Yeah, he doesn't drop balls, you know what I'm saying? He catches everything, but his speed has definitely waned over the last couple of years. I think he's 31, 32 years old now. Yeah. And that's the cliff for wide receivers when it comes to those speed guys. I mean, you bring him in, I'm not mad at it, right? You're adding a veteran presence who understands how to play wide receiver in the NFL, but he's not somebody that I'm going to be like, oh, man, game changer.
Exactly, yeah. He's the wide receiver 1. Exactly. One more question here before we go over to the phone lines. Dicker the Kicker comes in and says, O-line is the best weapon. Agree to that 1,000%, but you already 100%. Have 4/5 of your offensive line in place. You can find someone with better value in the later rounds.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying this the whole time, but again, Connor's coming. He's right. Like in terms of if you're talking about we needed a left tackle and we were lacking, I understand that 100%, Dicker. Dicker the Kicker.
Like Cameron Dicker, the kicker. The Chargers, yeah.
But in terms of our current situation right now, again, this offensive line, once you took out Tyron Smith last year, was grading out as a top 10 unit for the remainder of the year. Tyron Smith, oddly enough, was the weak link on that offensive line. So you've got 4/5 of that line figured out in terms of your left guard all the way to your right guard all the way to left tackle. Right tackle is the spot you need to figure out right now. But I think you can find somebody like Connor said later on in the draft to go ahead and lock that spot up. You might not get a quality guy like you would in terms of an Olu or a Vera Tucker, etc. But you can get a guy that can you can't get a blue chipper, but you can get a guy that can get the job done.
Let's go over to the phone lines. Our guy June, the GM, is up here on the show. June, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. What's going on, Gunner? What's going on, Connor?
What's up, June? How you doing, man? Living the dream, bro. Living the dream.
Yeah, it's interesting because at first, I was banging the table for Warren because I really like the kid. He reminds me of Jeremy Shockey a little bit, with a little touch of bravado in him. I think he can make any play on the field. He's physical, and I think we need that type of attitude. But then as I look at the tight end class, I'm saying, man, there's a lot of depth in this class. Can we perhaps grab a position of need like a wide receiver like Tet that I know you're crazy about, Connor, if they believe he's the dude? And then it's easy to grab a tight end in round 2 because I think the kid from Miami is going to be there. I think the kid from
Bowling Green.
Fannon's gonna be
Bowling
there.
Green.
I think Loveland would be gone. I do think Loveland's a little bit overrated. I'm gonna be real with you. It's that
really? I haven't heard his name at all.
Well, they talking about. I heard yesterday on several chats people saying
me too. That he's the number 1 guy.
Yeah,
I've heard people have him graded as higher than Tyler Warren. Which
that's
I think
a mess, but that's insane. But he's a very, very good player.
Yeah, I heard about that. So, but yeah, I think we see. Don't be surprised. I was thinking about this. It's not out of question, but word is they're removing Stevens to safety, right? That's the word. I don't know how true it is, but I've heard people say they might be moving him to safety with Cisco. That opens up a corner position. I wonder if because Aaron Glenn, being a corner that he is, goes out there and drafts Johnson out of Michigan to solidify the secondary with Stevens and Cisco in the safety position and with Sauce and Johnson in the corners, which makes it probably one of the best with Michael Carter defensive backfields in all of football. I doubt we'll do that. But right now, the way they're picking up free agents and all that, you don't know what they're going to do. To be honest with you, I don't know what way they're leaning.
June, we appreciate the call. As always, appreciate you checking in here on the show. Gunny, what do you have to say regarding that Stevens nugget there? I'll give my take after.
I mean, in all actuality, if that happens and you go Will Johnson with the 7th overall pick, I'm gonna scream right here and say I definitely want to go offense, but Will Johnson, I think, is going to be that dude, man. That he's becoming that new prototypical type of cornerback at the NFL level, right? He ran like what, a sub 4.40, like a 4.3 something 40. The dude is
Great
over 6
athleticism.
foot, you know, 6
6'2",
foot 1,
225,
6'2",
yeah.
220. Yeah, so he definitely hits a lot of wickets, man. I think Jets fans would be upset about it, right? Like one of those things where we look at, like when we drafted Sauce Gardner, you had 50% happy, other 50% were pissed off because we wanted to go edge. I think Will Johnson would have the same kind of response, right? Like half of us are pissed, half of us are excited, but then you see him play, you see the way he literally compliments Sauce Gardner, and that goes away. I think you get excited about him.
For sure.
Hard to be really mad about it long term, but I'm still team go offense. I think that offense right now, you need to go ahead and add to it. You want to make it as simple as possible for your quarterback, whether it's Justin Fields or the quarterback of the future. I think the more weapons you have, the more you allow it to be easier for them. But it wouldn't shock me, and I have heard the thing of Stevens as well about becoming a safety and whatnot, or going the safety route. But I feel like you're missing on an opportunity to really get yourself a really good wide receiver to complement.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like Garrett Wilson.
That top guy. And here's what I'll have to say, June, regarding moving Stevens over to safety. I can tell you right now, I'm not going to say there's 0% chance because anything is possible, but the chances are, I think there's a 1% chance he plays safety for this team next season.
Slim.
Two things. He started off the Ravens tried that. It was an unmitigated disaster his first few years in the league. Plus, you gave the guy CB2 money. You paid him 3 years, $36 million. I don't think he's going to move over to safety, but I certainly want to look through the draft to try to build there because I'm not comfortable with Isaiah Oliver, Tony Adams, and JBC entering the season as my safety. I'm not comfortable with that by any means. So certainly trying to look there. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like. Make sure you hit subscribe. Gunny, appreciate you hopping on with me. As always, we're going to wrap this show up. Gunny, I know you're on about 25 minutes, so plug the show and plug everything.
Yeah, come hang out with us at the Hangout. You know what I'm saying? In about 25 minutes on my channel, we're going to go ahead and talk about the AFC East, what the free agency has looked like for the AFC East, and then chop it up as a squad. So if you ain't got nothing else to do after this, come see us on the Hangout.
About to throw the link in the chat for you guys. I'll be hanging out in the hangar with Gunny, so make sure I'll be in the chat for sure. So make sure you check that out. Throw the link in the chat for the video. Like I said, appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like. Make sure you hit subscribe. That'll do it for me. I am your host, Connor Long, signing off alongside the great Gunny Gumby from New York Jets Situation Report. JTS, Jets.